Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Surrogacy Q&A, where we are going to cover everything IVF, transfer, and pregnancy related. My name is Joyce. I am a two-time gestational surrogate, mom of 3, and case manager here at Fairfax Surrogacy. Joining me today is the lovely Julie. Julie, do you want to share a little bit about you, and we can get started?
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Mazinas. I'm also a case manager here at Fairfax Surrogacy. I'm so excited that I'll be meeting with you today and just learning more about our process here at Fairfax. We hope that you will enjoy this and learn as much as possible. Whether you're considering becoming a surrogate or just simply seeking some more knowledge about surrogacy, we're here to provide you with any information you need. We'll take about 30 minutes to answer some of the most common questions that we generally hear about the IVF process, the embryo transfer, and pregnancy as a surrogate. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in our chat at any time. So we'll go ahead and get started. Our first question is, how does the IVF process work for surrogacy?
That's a big one. It's a good question. So when someone decides to be a surrogate, usually the first step is the medical evaluation to ensure that you are physically ready for this. Then you usually undergo a process called in vitro fertilization, pretty common word, IVF. The IVF process for surrogacy involves retrieval of the eggs from the intended mother or an egg donor. Those eggs are then fertilized with the intended father's sperm or a donor sperm in a lab. Those two components create those embryos. Those embryos will usually stay in the lab frozen until the transfer day itself. And then the physician will select 1, potentially 2 embryos to transfer into the surrogate's uterus in hopes of achieving pregnancy. So a lot of science, a lot of components moving all at once, but the end goal is hopefully a successful pregnancy.
Great, thank you. The next question is, will I need to take medications during this process?
Yes, simply put, yes. The level of medication that you take is going to be dependent on the clinic that you're with. The medications that we use in surrogacy are usually used to help prepare for the embryo transfer. It prepares your uterus, your hormone levels, and it's used to support the early stages of pregnancy. Medications could include oral pills, injections, patches, even suppositories, depending on what the clinic protocol is. So the fertility specialist is going to provide you with instructions on the medications that you're going to need, the dosage, the schedule. These medications are started prior to the transfer to prepare the body and usually continue through a duration of the first trimester. It kind of depends on when you stop that, but it's pretty common to carry throughout at least the first trimester, because our goal is to mimic what the body is naturally doing during conception. So if your body's not ready for that or it needs some help, that medication is going to get you there.
Yeah, and like Joyce said, each clinic is different regarding their protocols, regarding medications, and the clinics we work with are really wonderful about taking the time to talk to all our surrogates prior to them starting medication, reviewing if they have any questions, and of course, we're here as well to answer any questions you may have. The next question is, how often will I need to visit the fertility clinic during the IVF process?
Very good question. We always want to know about travel and prepare for that. As moms, we want to know, do we need to arrange childcare? How does that look? So the frequency of the clinic visits depend on the clinic themselves, the protocol, and how your body responds to the medication. Normally, you'll go to the actual fertility clinic where the embryos are located for the initial medical screening. It's a 1 to 2 day trip, and then you'll return for the embryo transfer, which is usually anywhere between a 2 to 4 day trip, depending on their bed rest policy and different things like that. The IVF process typically takes around 4 to 6 weeks from the start of medication to the actual embryo transfer itself, during which time we try to actually have our surrogates go somewhere local. So instead of traveling all the way back to the fertility clinic, often it's out of state, we're going to find a clinic that is capable of doing the hormone checks and the ultrasounds that are needed relatively close to where that surrogate lives. It's important to note that this is going to be a little bit different for everyone's journey. So ideally 2 trips to the actual fertility clinic. If an additional embryo transfer is needed, it may be more, but ideally twice for that, and then local monitoring for everything else.
Great. And yeah, we'll help talk to you again about your travel arrangements, and depending on where your intended parent resides, if they are local to you, it's nice when they're able to come to any of those appointments as they can. So again, we'll really talk to your clinic and get any specific instructions from them, and they'll also review any instructions prior to those appointments as well. The next question is, what can I expect during the embryo transfer procedure?
Super good question. I get asked this pretty frequently because it's what happens, what goes on during that. So the actual embryo transfer is pretty simple for the physician. It's usually, you're not going to be under general anesthetic. The specifics of it is there's going to be a thin hollow catheter that is guided through your cervix into the uterus, and the embryo is placed directly into the uterine cavity. So should be quick, should be relatively painless. It's similar to a regular pelvic exam that women have, those PAPs that we have every year. It's similar to that. The transfer itself takes 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, and then the physician's going to ask that you kind of hang out there at the clinic for a little bit, give your body some time to process everything, and then you usually go back to your hotel if you're staying local, and then you can usually fly home the next day. It's a short period of taking it easy. It's possible to experience some mild cramping, but that's normal and actually kind of exciting because it's a way that you can know that your body's reacting to what happened. And when we hear that our surrogates are having some mild cramping, yes, no one wants to have cramping, but it's typically a good sign that hopefully things are working. So we just say, relax, take it easy, and let that magic happen. It's an exciting time for our intended parents, exciting time for our surrogate. We are super excited as the case manager, and we get to talk with everyone through that whole process. There's a lot of questions that go on, and I know for me and for Julie, we want to stay in the loop. We want to know what's going on. I've experienced 2 transfers myself before, so I definitely have been in those positions, and it's amazing and exciting to know what science is capable of, and it's a big day for us here.
Yeah, it's a really exciting appointment, and like I said, hopefully if your intended parents are able to come. If not, we have several intended parents that may participate via video call. We encourage our surrogates to just have as much participation as possible, and it is an exciting appointment, and we just encourage all types of communication during that process because it's really exciting. So the next question was, how soon can I know if the embryo transfer was successful?
Okay, so there is what is called the dreaded 2-week wait. It is so hard, personally speaking, and also, with a lot of our surrogates and intended parents, we want to know immediately. We want that, instant gratification, but it takes the body time to recognize what has happened. And with that, there is usually like a 10 to 14 day period before the clinic can take an actual blood test to look at the HCG levels, which is that pregnancy hormone. It can feel incredibly nerve-wracking. But again, it allows enough time for that embryo to implant and for those HCG hormones to rise. I have had surrogates take home pregnancy tests, and with those are home pregnancy tests. We are hopeful that we'll see something. It's not always the case, but the most for sure way to know, obviously, is going to be that blood test. So just know when the transfer happens, you are, in the surrogacy world, we call it PUPO, pregnant until proven otherwise. It's fun, it's exciting, incredibly nerve-wracking, but usually 10 to 14 days after transfer, we're going to know if it was successful.
All right.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Joyce said, we'll be in touch with our surrogates during that process because, like she said, it is that waiting period where you're maybe a little anxious, but we'll all be in communication again and here for you while you're waiting those results. So the next question is, what happens if any complications arise during the pregnancy?
So we do our best in the surrogacy world to facilitate a healthy uterus, a phenomenal surrogate, amazing embryos, an amazing team at the reproductive clinic, but complications can arise during any pregnancy. So if a complication arises, we want our surrogates and our intended parents to know that our surrogate you have access to quality care. You're going to be connected to your fertility clinic, you're going to be connected to your OBGYN, potentially, depending on if complication arises. And of course, we are here, whether it's empathetically, because I have potentially been through something, or it is clear guidance on what the next step is going to be. In the event of a complication, the medical professionals will take the steps that are required to ensure the health and safety of both the surrogate and the baby. It's obviously, if there's an emergency, we want you to seek medical attention. The added benefit to the IVF process is that you stay under the guidance and care of the reproductive clinic until you are kind of exiting that first trimester, just to ensure that everything is great. You are also stopping medications around that time because your body has accepted the pregnancy and your body is creating those hormones to maintain the pregnancy. So if an event occurs that we need to connect with the team on or send you to your OBGYN, usually that occurs within the first trimester. Past that, your body is capable and able to do the things that it did for its own pregnancy. If something happens, again, we're here. We will walk you through it. We will make sure that you're connected to the right people and the right staff, not only medically get you to where you need to be, but also be there emotionally, because in the event complications arise, it's difficult and it's challenging, but we are always here.
Great. Yeah, I agree. We just, again, encourage communication with our team, and we'll be happy to reach out to the clinic, even if you just think something maybe is going on and you're not sure. We really encourage our surrogates to talk to us, and they've been wonderful about just open communication, both with us and their intended parents. And again, we'll follow up with your clinic and just take it step by step. So great. Thank you so much. Our next question, will I have any say in the prenatal care and birthing process?
Of course, definitely. Open communication between you, your intended parents, your agency is key to ensuring everyone's expectations are met. As a surrogate, you have the right to be involved in the important decisions related to the pregnancy. It's your body, it's your choice. We want you to know that even all the way back to the matching process, we want you to stay connected or match with intended parents who share your morals, your values, and your goals for the journey. So we work closely with our intended parents, the medical staff, towards the third trimester to create a birth plan, a birth preference that aligns with everyone's wishes to ensure that everyone's comfort and well-being are top priority. We connect with the medical staff at the hospital to share that this is a surrogacy journey and prepare them for that big day. We want everyone who is going to be part of this journey to be well informed, to be able to foster a really good environment for everyone. The surrogate can choose to work with her OBGYN of her choice. It's important that we we honor the pregnancy itself and have our amazing surrogates be able to have the quality care that they need throughout the entire process. And the intended parents are involved and making those decisions alongside their surrogate. It's a group effort that takes a lot of different aspects and pieces, and you can always come back to us as case managers as well, for questions, or hey, we may need to do this type of ultrasound. We're going to work behind the scenes to also make sure that anything that you need during the prenatal, postnatal, all of those different times in your journey, you're getting what you need.
Definitely. Great. Yeah, I agree. And we'll be having multiple conversations, even from the very beginning when we're looking at, matching with you intended parents. We're asking those questions about if you have any expectations or preferences regarding your pregnancy. And again, throughout the journey, we're having those conversations. So there'll be many opportunities for you to be able to communicate that and learn more, to assure that your pregnancy is as beautiful and positive as possible. So our next question is, will I be able to stay in touch with the intended parents after the birth?
Absolutely. That is our goal, backing up to the matching process. When we are matching our surrogates to our intended parents, we talk about the idea, what do we envision during the journey and then after the journey? The goal is to create an organic relationship. This is a commitment that our surrogates and our intended parents make to each other. So the level of contact could vary depending on where you are in your journey. We encourage open communication. It can be facilitated through us if it's something, whether it's a chat group, or we often Zoom with our intended parents and our surrogates to, usually if they're across the country from each other or whatever the case is, we want to maintain a level of communication through all aspects of the journey, including postpartum. Those intended parents have this beautiful baby that they are nurturing and bringing home and bonding with, and we have our amazing surrogates who are navigating a postpartum that maybe they have not experienced before. Usually you're pregnant, you give birth, you go home with this baby, and life just kind of revolves around that postpartum aspect. As a surrogate, you are pregnant, you give birth, and then you go home to your children, and life has a different kind of feel to it for a little while, as in your body is going to react because it just gave birth, and your mind is going to have moments where you're like, what am I doing? What happens next? Where do I go from here? We stay in contact with our surrogates postpartum and really emphasize that, because it is a kind of evolving chapter for a lot of surrogates. You're used to being pregnant. You spent this last year developing a relationship with these amazing parents. And so trying to navigate those first few weeks afterwards, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of feelings that could potentially come up that are normal and valid, and we work through those. We talk about it, and we see beautiful, long-lasting relationships from our surrogates and intended parents. They become an extension of each other. It's amazing to see, even years after, the bonds that were created, all because these two teams came together to bring a beautiful baby into the world. So definitely important, and we do everything we can to foster that throughout.
Great. Yeah. We, like I said before, we will have, and like Joyce said, we'll have conversations as well, even when you're looking at matching, and even at the beginning of your journey about what you'd like that picture to look like after the baby's born. And like Joyce said, they become very strong relationships. And, we are excited for you to continue that relationship, if you wish, and grow and watch, your baby grow and develop that relationship with all of you. So then we have another question. How will I be financially supported during the surrogacy process?
Big question, very important. We understand the importance of financial support. As a surrogate, you're going to have a comprehensive compensation package that it's going to go over medical expenses, legal fees, living expenses, among other considerations. Our team is going to go over those details with you. We want to ensure there's transparency, there's clarity. There are several factors that go into deciding to be a surrogate. And if compensation is one of those, that's completely normal and incredibly perfect, honestly. You want to be sure that as a surrogate, you're going into this knowing that it's not something, when you carry a pregnancy for another person, the compensation factor is important. I, as a former surrogate, was able to utilize compensation to better our family situation. But it should never be the very first thing that pops into your mind, because it's never a guarantee as far as what could potentially happen during a journey and things like that. But we want our surrogates to know that we have created and built our compensation package based on need and what to expect during the journey. It's actually something that you can go to our website and download. We have a very detailed compensation package. And if you go to our website, that's just at fairfaxsurrogacy.com, you can pull that up, you can download it, you can print it off. And then if you decide to move forward with us, our team, again, is going to go over every single detail to make sure that you are aware of what would potentially be coming in. We utilize escrow services, so you have a team, even in that realm, that you are aware of what's coming in, when it's coming in, and how all of that would break down. Great question.
Yeah. Well, it looks like that is our last question. Before we wrap up, I just want to personally thank everyone for joining us on our call today. And if you are interested in learning more or ready to take the next step and apply to become a surrogate, like Joyce had referenced before, please visit our website, which is www.fairfaxsurrogacy.com. And we hope that we'll hear from you. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions and are interested. And we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.